Hey, what's happening, gamers? Sorry for the late start. I have a killer headache today again. But I've had Bayer. Thank you to the, I lost count how many people are on the Patreon now. I think we're almost at 200 people on Patreon, so you guys are close to $700 on Patreon, which is a huge blessing. We're almost at our goal of 1,000, which again, the $1,000 would cover the ability for us to use our internet contract, pay for electricity, and be able to get one game a month, as well as pay for groceries and the cat's rabies shots. As you guys know, somebody says I'm new here, so people are talking about, well, what's wrong with this channel. What's wrong with this channel is it is currently in a hostage situation. This channel and 150 others on YouTube have not been paid for the month of May, and I have to go and take out a bank loan on sometime I have to actually get a new driver's license, and then I could take out a bank loan because I have a decent credit score. I'm at least in the 800 range, so maybe I can take out whatever I need to sustain us for a while until our new YouTube job will start up in 20 days. So where we are now will be transferred over to Portugal. But, you know, I'll be doing a bunch of podcasts this week talking about the situation. I've been lucky enough to be invited to speak with a couple gaming podcasts, so I can tell people what the situation is. A lot of YouTubers don't know what's going on because they don't get paid until the 30th. A few of us who pay 3% of our income, or 3% of our whatever our paycheck is, have what's known as an early access option to get paid on the 16th, and it's now been 7 days of no payment. It's the longest that it's ever been without payment, and the company that pays people went dark. So I was the whistleblower on this. YouTube has mobilized a bunch of stuff to try to find out what's going on with this person in Sweden, but we have no updates other than that. But at the meantime, a lot of you have been so very generous and kind, going over to our Patreon, which again would just help us with the our basic needs. It still is not what our paycheck is anywhere close to what it needs to be, but like I said, I already did whatever I could to pay our rent for July, and you know, scrimped and broke into my savings and whatever money we had lying around. We were just able to handle that, but we could still lose our health insurance. So, but by July 20th or July 20th, July 19th, we'll be working with a new company. But yeah, June and May's payments are very problematic. So thank you guys for your generosity. If you would like to become a patron, the Patreon link is right there. Please do not, the only thing we're asking is do not super chat right now, because the money would go to someone other than us. So that's the only problem. Like I said, there's about 300 channels that are impacted. 50 know about it, and the other 200 plus channels have no idea what's going to happen until June 30th when they check to see if they got paid. So this is going to be probably the biggest YouTube scandal in 11-12 years. It's going to impact at least 300 content creators, ranging from 100,000 subscribers to 4 million. So this is going to be a big thing. I had a full-blown panic attack yesterday. I'm doing much better today, but I'm heavily medicated. So I'm a lot calmer, but I had a full-blown panic attack yesterday. So thank you to our patrons, and you guys are breathtaking. So that's what the situation is. I will be going into more detail with my first podcast that I'll be guesting on Monday. And then I have like some other things, as well as I heard back from 2 publications that are holding on releasing the story, which they're going to release it. They're waiting until after the 23rd to see what happens, which is Monday. So, yep. So it's gonna be an interesting week. It's gonna be one for the books. If anything, what I'm hopeful about is maybe this channel will actually get some much needed exposure. So, because we are shadow banned, so. And if I'm able to help some people not be financially ruined, I think, it's a good thing. So, but we're in trouble. So if you want to help, our Patreon's right there. It's right there. In the meantime, I'm going to play some Mirror Cup. Going to play online with you guys today and some other stuff. Yep, but that's what's going on. It's your birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday tomorrow. What? And it didn't send? Sorry, honey. Ow, my head hurts so much. Probably from stress. Alright, so this is the final mirror one. I think we finished the other one yesterday. Zelda, where are you? Please link the podcasts. It's not the day of the podcast yet, and also it's a controversial channel. So, but they have a huge outreach, and also I believe they said they're going to plug our Patreon, so we could get a wave of support or a few $100s from people. So I mean, I don't want to say who the podcast is, because both podcasts are from, people that, I'm gonna go wherever I can to save my job. So I don't care about politics. This is a non-political thing, and it also shows that people need to work together in times of crisis, because 300 YouTubers, again, from subscriber sizes of 100,000 to 4 million, are going to be impacted. So everybody's going to need to work together and, drop the whole woke, anti-woke nonsense, because people are going to be out of their job. Some people are going to be financially ruined. Some people won't be financially impacted at all. They can take the hit of, 2 months of no income. But there are going to be some channels that this is going to ruin them. So people can't have this, we need to come together as gamers and YouTubers and, work together. Or, you're going to be finished. So I'm going to get the word out from whatever podcast I can get on. It doesn't matter if they're woke or anti-woke. It doesn't matter. What matters is people's livelihoods. So that's what people need to remember. So let's go. The first podcast, I believe it's 3 o'clock is when I'll be on it. Monday. Amber, I will take care of it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be on my phone anyway. Pretty sure. Well, I can't. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't even, discussed with them what's happening yet. Okay? Oh. Wow, I can't catch this person. So yeah, the plan is after we clear Mirror Cup, I'm gonna do some free roaming, try to unlock Daisy's last costumes, Peach's last costumes, things like that, and then I would like to play online with you guys a little bit. I know. Oh, that was really stupid. I wish I didn't do that. Yeah, I know. Oh, also, if people are like, where's the rest of your income gonna come from the channel? Amber's trying to get 2 jobs right now, but it still won't equal what the channel was. Like, this is gonna put us in a huge financial situation. So what we need from people is, like Friday, I have an appointment with the bank, so I need to get my new license before Friday, and just be praying that we can get the loan. Okay, alright, alright. So unfortunately you won't. Before we said you might see Amber in a part-time capacity, but if she's working 2 jobs, probably not going to see her much. Nah, I lost. Alright, we're going to try that again because we lost. So that guy came out of nowhere and was super sneaky. Very sneaky. Alright. Well, I mean, you know, I'm honestly hoping, like, I didn't realize I had a high credit score. I was under the impression that my credit score would be in the 400 or 300 range because, you know, I've been in debt to the U.S. government for almost 12 years since the first time we had, you know, that network extort money from us. What was it? It was in 2014. So we've been in financial debt for like so many years. What? You got an interview?
Yeah.
Good job.
And he was even like not mean to me when I was like, sorry, I ran up the stairs really quick. He seemed nice. So I'm gonna go. So actually, you are doing your podcast tomorrow at 3.
No. It's Monday. Tomorrow's Sunday.
Mine is a Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is Monday at 2 o'clock. Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah.
Honey, I'll be fine. You have a glass on the couch, so I wouldn't be bouncing up and down.
I'm not bouncing up and down. I'm just standing here.
Okay, no, I'm just
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking to somebody else?
No, I mean when you sat down, that mug like almost spilled.
There's nothing in here.
Okay, well I didn't know that. I have a headache. Okay, I'm Brooklyn nice today. I'm not very nice right now. But congratulations on your interview, sweetie.
Monday at 2.
Mm-hmm.
I said Sunday originally. He said Monday. So Monday at 2.
Yep. See, great job. Alright, so let's try this again. This is... Try to do this again. Retry. I don't know. I don't even remember. Mm-hmm. Yep, that was the phone call you were waiting for? Okay, good. Oh, I was talking about the loan thing. So yeah, I was just asking people to pray about the loan situation because, like, I have a decent credit score. And I thought I didn't have a credit score because I thought that, you know, government debt would cause you to have like a horrible credit score, but apparently I don't, which is amazing. I mean, I've been on a payment plan with the government for like 11, 12 years, something like that. I guess, yeah. So we're gonna try to take out a loan, and hopefully we can. The loan will be, because we were already in a bind anyway, because we haven't been able to pay off our taxes for this year yet. So we were already in a financial bind. So the fact that this company stole 2 months of income from us, allegedly, you know, maybe this loan situation will keep the business running for a couple months. Until, because our YouTube channel is going to start making money again in July 20th, I believe. So that's why we're just asking people, don't super chat, because the super chats are going to go to somebody who's not the owner of the channel.
What means is he has a good credit score. I don't.
I already said you had 400.
Because all of the bills I just put in 90. That I couldn't pay.
Yeah, so Amber didn't put me down for her surgery, so the surgery's in her name.
Everything that I haven't been able to pay has all been in my name. So it's not like we aren't in debt.
No, we are.
It's just that we have a good credit score because he's not associated with me.
I'm not affiliated with you, except I am, so it's kind of weird that they're not. But it's a good thing, because at least I can go to the bank and be like, okay.
Well, I've had two other interviews. I've had 2 other interviews with Retry places, and those interviews have both gone not great.
I'm sorry to hear that, honey. Lost again.
The second interview, I went overboard and actually went to an interview site that gave you questions you're supposed to answer when people ask you certain things. And I said exactly what the site told me to say. And I still didn't get it. So, I guess they're looking for people to be real, not respond in the way a website tells you to, but it's weird because the website did say if you respond that way, you 90% would get the job.
Okay, pause. OH, the channel is not going to get terminated. Please stop spreading misinformation. Any super chat will go to the company that owns the paycheck of the channel who hasn't distributed the paycheck. So, like, all payments of this channel are supposed to be paid out to us from a company called Nagato. And Nagato has gone dark for 7 days now. 6 days. 6 days. Nobody knows what's going on. They don't have a kill switch to terminate the channel. We would be if we don't get paid, we're going to struggle to be able to maintain the channel, you know, past July. Except July 20th is when our new company that promises to pay us, that YouTube has appointed to us, they've selected a new MCN for us to go to. They already have that ready, but if this company would actually drop us right away, if YouTube could get Nagato to drop us, then immediately we'd start earning income through the Portuguese company. But it's not going to happen for, you know, until like July 20th or July 15th. We don't have any info about that. But the channel is not going to be erased. Because, like, we're YouTube partners. We're in the YouTube partner program. YouTube's agencies are working with us, as well as the other people that are impacted that have come forward, as well as I've given them the networks that are associated with this scam, and they're working, you know, to try to, because there's going to be 300 people impacted. This is all going to start to hit the fan on the 30th of this month. You're going to see a lot of people making videos and crying and, you know, swearing and all kinds of stuff. This is going to be a monumental thing. They're not going to be able to sweep this one under the rug because the partners who are associated with it have 4 million subscribers. This isn't going to go away like last time in 2014.
Well, I will say last time, the reason why Luke and I are in so much debt is because last time this happened to us, which is... what happened was money was stolen from us. We've never recovered from that.
Nope.
And one of the reasons I think we never recovered from it is because we're both working on this channel 24/7. So I probably wouldn't be in debt today because I would have been scrimping and saving and of course we worked really hard to pay that off.
Okay, so we had a bum luck. What happened was we were on our way to make our payments back by 2016, and we were doing really well. We had our first payment plan. We were giving an exorbitant amount back to the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And we were no, that's not what happened. There's so many factors. So the summer of 2016, Disney announced that they were canceling Disney Infinity. If Disney Infinity had continued for a couple more years, we would have been able to pay back our debts. Disney Infinity died, then Skylanders died, then Arkham died. I know, but I'm just telling you, that's what happened. I know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You want me to say all of them, bro? You want me to say, like, generally, I can come in.
Yeah. I'm not gonna let you forget me. I'm in the same predicament I was in. I'm a sitting duck. Here come the shells again. Come on, Daisy. We got it. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Since I won't be doing a kitchen job.
Okay.
And then I'll also put my availability in there.
Okay.
You know what? I don't know. I mean, you know that it's not. Yeah, so basically, I'll explain. So basically, when I work another job, in general, in the past, we've actually lost money on our channel because we need 2 people to run the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's not that I'm lazy or something. It's that literally I work so hard on this channel that when I leave and I work a different job, the channel plummets in views and income. But because the channel is in such bad shape now, it is in worse shape than it has ever been. Ever. We were already in such bad shape. We were already stressed about money that we didn't have. Then this company decided, in addition to that, to not pay us for 2 months. So literally, we are in the worst financial situation we've ever been in our lives. And, you know, both of our families really can't really afford to take us in anymore because they're both in financial straits. You know, they're old. So, you know, it's either we figure out, we get our community to rally around us, because you guys have to realize that if you work a regular job, all you have to do is pay for the gas to get to work. You don't have to pay for all of the shelving to put up in the grocery store. You don't have to pay for all the boxes. You don't have to hire people to bring equipment in. You don't have to pay for the electricity in the store. Luke and I have to pay for everything at our job.
Mm-hmm.
We pay for everything at our job. We own the business, which means when we don't get paid, the business cannot continue. That was the money to run the business. That was the money to run the electricity. That was the money to run the internet. For the entire business, for literally streaming 10 hours a day. So you have to realize that not only when we don't get paid are we going to be in debt, it's not that we're going to be okay. Like a lot of people say, oh, you guys will get past this month. This will affect us probably for the next 7 years of our lives. We'll be paying this back. That's how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to be okay after a month. if we survive the month, we will be financially broken for the next 7 years, even more than we already are. But in addition, you realize every time that this happens to our Kwingsletsplays community business, our business suffers, which means we're going to have to cover less games. We can't buy as much equipment. We won't be able to stream as much. We won't be able to do as many giveaways. We won't be able to do as many things on our job. So the entire channel will suffer. You know.
Yep, it's a bad situation. So, like I said, for those of you that are faith-based people, just pray that I get approved the loan, because then I can take care of this year's taxes. I can take care of the 2 months of no pay, which would be, because we're probably not going to get paid for June either. So imagine you have a job, and your job tells you for whatever circumstances they can't pay you for 2 months. That's going to put you in a huge financial bind, right? That's where me and 300 other people are that's the situation, because they're what people don't understand is, yes, content creators didn't get paid for May, but you were also working in that company in June. So the fact that we were working for that company in June, that means there'll be no way to get payment from them in June either. In fact, I'll read you something, because I'll be reading this on the podcast. This was why I had the panic attack yesterday. This is from YouTube's financial department. This is what they said. This is how they prevent lawsuits. Hi all. What month will this channel be missing earnings? June earnings haven't been paid yet. For earnings in other months, the channel has been associated under this MCN for 4 years. So all earnings occurred during that time are legally going to be responsible by the MCN. We can check a Pacific month to see earnings and their reporting and double confirm if anything working as intended, so let us know. Also, the AdSense link to this channel is blah 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 blah. AdSense has been linked to this channel since blah blah blah. Would you like to unlink this AdSense? So what they're saying right there is YouTube has no legal requirements to pay the channel due to it being under their multi-channel network agreement. So any money stolen, anything that happens, YouTube is not responsible legally to make sure that partner gets claimed. So 300 people are going to be hearing this from YouTube. So YouTube is trying to get a hold of this network to make sure the partners get paid, but again, they're failing. So this situation is very similar. So when they're talking about how the channel file is under an MCN, that means they're not going to do much. So, you know, this person in Sweden could potentially get away with tens of millions of dollars from 300 content creators combined. Like, most people aren't going to steal a few $100,000, you know, for like a handful of YouTubers. They're going to try to get as big of a score as possible. So if they're stealing 2 months from content creators that have 4 million subscribers, like I said, this is going to be a big, I wouldn't say national news thing, but this is going to be a big YouTube news thing that you're going to hear about. But that right there, that's why I had the panic attack last night. So I received this email from YouTube's legal department because they're telling you that they have no liability. They're telling you that this is a content creator's problem. This is an agreement that they have legally between one of our subsidiaries, which is an MCN, multi-channel network. So, you know, other than trying to contact the person who is in charge of like triggering payment in the country that YouTube has you know, forced us to work with in Sweden, they can't do anything else. So the one who's probably going to have to end up calling the Swedish police is going to be me, because I don't even think, I told YouTube a couple days ago they need to contact the Swedish police to investigate this person, and I gave them the address, I gave them their name. They haven't done anything, so I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to pretend to be like some family member and claim a missing persons or something to try to, you know, going to have to do something. So, I don't know. That's why Amber and I are super stressed, and like I said, you're going to hear from other content creators too, because 300 people are going to hear that same spiel. It's a very bad situation. But my loan interview is Friday with the bank, so but yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, so basically that business lingo that you were hearing, to put it in layman's terms for you, YouTube is saying it is not their financial liability to make sure a partner gets paid if that partner is under an MCN. What they can do is, I'm going to have to talk to their legal department Monday, but they might be able to remove us from our current contract and put us somewhere else. And the quicker they do that, the faster we can start making money for a new company. But how YouTube gets away from unions, and how YouTube gets away from any type of like laws about like making employees and benefits, is they use subsidiary and satellite companies to pay their partners and to, you know, manage their partners and stuff like that. So the best way to think about these multi-channel networks is they're basically human resource companies responsible for paying you and other things, as well as maintaining your work relationship with YouTube. So YouTube is your boss in a sense, but they're not your, like, okay, YouTube's the CEO of the company, but they're not the boss you report to. The boss responsible for paying you, and the boss responsible for making sure a lot of stuff happens, that's the MCN. Does that make sense? YouTube is just the CEO that oversees anything. They can't be responsible for a rogue employee, and they won't be responsible for a rogue employee. So the reason why we're pushing our Patreon is we have no way of starting July 1st to pay our electricity, pay our internet bill, pay our website bill to make our newsletter. So our newsletter costs $100 a month that we write. Can't pay our health insurance. Can't pay for rabies shots. For the cats, their shots are due. Can't pay for Zelda's medicine. Can barely pay for my medicine and my wife's blood pressure medicine. So we're in, you know, we have to, our goal with Patreon is to hit $1,000 in 14 days. We're getting close. We're at 700. So we're close. Doesn't Sweden speak a different language? Everybody speaks English. If not, I can always use a computer program to change my voice. But, you know, if YouTube's not going to contact the police, somebody's going to have to contact the police in Sweden and investigate that company. Because they're not answering the phone, probably because they're running. I'm very disappointed in Google, though, because I told them the urgency of this. I also found out how many YouTube partners there are, like, connected. There's 2 companies involved. The companies are called Nagato and Thorn. It's very similar to what happened with Forella Digital and Foxidal in 2014. It's eerily similar. It's the same type of, like, theft on a grand scale. Unfortunately, last time, the people responsible for the theft in 2014, as far as we know, they got away with, I believe the final tally of combined theft from all the YouTubers that were involved, which was 200 YouTubers. The company, Ferrella Digital, made off with exactly, I think it was $600 million. That would be 4 months of pay from like 200 YouTubers. With the biggest YouTuber being like, I think the biggest YouTuber back then had about 1 million subscribers. Most of the YouTubers impacted were making about like $20,000 to $30,000 a month. So, and it was like the holiday pay, so YouTube used to pay bonuses. So that company, they ran with like close to 600 million. Never were caught, as far as we know. We suffered losses of $50,000. So that was very bad. And that was from both channels. So the Batman channel and the Kwingsletsplays channel and Amber's channel and our mature channel were all connected to the same AdSense account, as well as they were all housed under the same MCN. So that's all that worked between those three channels or whatever from our side. But there was a YouTuber who unalived himself because he lost. He was a claymation company. He lost about, I believe, before he ended it, he reported losses frantically of about $10 million. And he lost everything, and he couldn't deal with it, and he unalived himself. It was devastating. And back then, YouTube gave the same soulless excuse. Well, they're, listed under this MCN, so that means we're not liable to any, company not paying them. That's a contract between the YouTuber and the MCN. And, somebody died over it, so. And it didn't make national news at all because, YouTube had a gag order in place, unfortunately, so. YouTube's not as good a company as people think it is, So. Because YouTube pays less money now, I don't think anybody's going to lose their life over this, but there's probably going to be at least one content creator that loses $500,000, probably. But I wouldn't doubt it. So that's why I'm doing my part to try to help as much as I can, but the fact that there are soulless responses the same as it was in 2014 is it made my stomach turn. I started to shake. I started to shake violently last night during the Zelda stream. I was having I thought I was going to have a stroke. And I'm doing a little bit better today. I mean, now I'm in full effect. I promised the YouTube people that I wouldn't make any action on the weekend, but come Monday, I'm going full scorched earth. I have a couple. I've spoken to one journalist from a publication contacted me, and I had a phone interview where I told them everything, and they wrote everything down. And they're gonna keep me anonymous when they release the story, because I told them how much my losses are, as well as I told them how many people are associated with stuff. So, a tech website is gonna be talking about this, but I'm going full scorched earth. I really am. I'm not. Last time I waited 2 months. To see if they would finally pay us, and I had a very, Mr. Rogers approach. I have a very Brooklyn approach to this now. If I can find a way to manhunt these people, because they might even still be in Sweden. I don't know. But that email shows that YouTube's not going after them. You know what I mean? It's pretty clear. So that means I'm going to be leaning very hard over the CEO that owns those MCNs. because he can't get a hold of the guy who's supposed to trigger payment either. Like, so his company lost a ton of money because he was a talent agency involved with that group, but he doesn't. They work for him, and you know, it's a messy situation. But I'm gonna give him one last opportunity to call the police, and then I'm gonna throw him under the bus too. And I've had a good business relationship with him for, you know, probably 16 years, something like that, 15, 16 years. But the fact that he said he couldn't, I tried to reach out to him, and as I look, one of your employees in your company, they went rogue, one of the MCNs you own, because he owns like 6 MCNs, which he owns like 6 multi-channel networks. 2 just went rogue. He has a total of, let's see, last time I heard, this individual has 1,000 YouTube channels under 8 MCNs that YouTube has put him in charge of. So it's kind of like a Keemstar situation, if anybody understands Keemstar. Like, this person technically was banned by YouTube to run a multi-channel network, and he has 8 of them under assumed names and identities and things like that. He's a very brilliant man, but also at the same time, you know, the only thing he cares about is money. But he has the contact information of this guy who probably stole like millions of dollars, like allegedly. And he's waiting until Monday to do anything. And I've already yelled at him on the phone a couple times because he lives in Japan. So, you know, I'm probably, in order to get things moving, I'm probably going to disclose his name to the public. And, you know, YouTube's probably not going to be happy because they thought this person's ban evading just like Keemstar does. Did you know that Keemstar is not allowed to have a YouTube channel? There are a couple content creators that are on this platform that use a proxy in order to have their YouTube channel, because YouTube has said they're no longer allowed to have a YouTube channel because they broke terms of service. This guy didn't do anything wrong to have his multi-channel license removed. It was back during the whole managed thing on YouTube. Like, Kwingsletsplays used to be a managed channel, which meant we made more money. We had more access to tools to help with channel growth. Back when we were averaging like hundreds of thousands of views per video. We had our own dedicated license manager that dealt with copyright. We had a manager who their job was to get us brand deals like HelloFresh and Raid Shadow Legends and all this other stuff. So there were a lot of perks to being a managed channel. You also had better ad sales. The problem with the managed channel is YouTube started a policy in 2017 that if a managed channel received a copyright strike, that copyright strike would hurt the multi-channel network. If a multi-channel network received 3 copyright strikes, no matter how many partners they have, the multi-channel network would be dissolved. Everybody would be out of a job. So what happened with my friend is, again, he owns like 8 or 9 networks. I forget the tally. 1,000 partners. Basically what happened to him is there was a guy over in South Africa was uploading soccer matches. Now, I don't know the specifics about like what the law is when it comes to sports things, but apparently Europe is very clear about copyright violations of people uploading full football games. It breaks some type of like international law. So this idiot, which was a managed channel, which this was my friend's oopsie, is this managed channel received 3 copyright strikes in the span of 2 days. And so the company that I worked for overnight was terminated by YouTube, and my boss and my friend lost his job. So without our permission, YouTube removed us from our first MCN that we were working with for 5 years without any problems. So in 2021, right during the pandemic, essentially we lost our YouTube job. I had to apply for a YouTube partner program through YouTube and Google, and I was approved based on how many years I was a partner under an MCN. But we never told you this stuff behind the scenes because we were still going to be paid for 2 months, like while we were looking for a new YouTube job. But the channel was, what's the word I'm looking for? The channel was a free agent for most of 2021. We didn't have a boss. We didn't have somebody watching out for copyright and brand deals, all that stuff. We lost all that stuff because, you know, the company went under. What my friend did is what Keemstar did. Keemstar used a proxy in order to keep doing his job. In fact, the person that owns Keemstar's YouTube channel today is not Keemstar, but Keemstar has access to the channel. But the Google AdSense account, all the payments go to this individual, and this individual works for Keemstar, pays Keemstar his YouTube earnings. And there's several big YouTubers that do this because, you know, YouTube has said they're not allowed to work on YouTube anymore. So it's called ban evading, basically. So with the YouTube network, what's happening is this individual who doesn't want people to know who he is, he owns like 8 or 9 companies that have 1,000 or more YouTube partners. And when YouTube finds out about it, he's probably going to get sued. Or I don't know what's going to happen. But you can't protect a person that is essentially a billionaire who doesn't want to help anybody but himself. You know? The fact that he's waiting until next week when this guy could be gone, right? The person who stole from these YouTubers, he's not going to be impacted because he has 8 other companies. So if 2 companies go rogue, he's still earning revenue from 8 other networks all around the world. You know what I mean? And it's not just him. There's a lot of people on YouTube. Like the YouTube business side would probably make the Better Business Bureau like cringe because I think YouTube is doing a lot of shady stuff. You know? They're only doing things to protect their own assets. Because they're a company that literally employs like 1 million people or whatever. Some of their biggest YouTube partners are in India. India has like some of the largest YouTube partners in the world. Not in terms of like subscribers, I mean people. So India has some of the biggest content, like group of content creators in the world. But when you're a company of this size, you have to find ways of making it work and cutting corners so that you don't go bankrupt. Because there's a lot of legal responsibilities that YouTube is supposed to be doing for taxes. They don't take out taxes. It's the content creator's job to take out your own taxes and your estimated. YouTube doesn't do that. YouTube does no benefits. YouTube does no health insurance. They do no bonuses. They don't do anything. All bonuses and stuff came through multi-channel networks based on if you were an affiliate or a managed. And the reason why I know all this stuff is because I applied to work for a commercial monetized system or something like that, which my job would have been to work with YouTube partners, and I would have been paid 5% of their channel revenue. And that's how I was going to make money. I was approved to basically become a MCN, where I was going to bring in YouTube partners that had like 1,000 to 100,000 subscribers or more, and I was going to help them become big YouTubers, or, you know, be able to do this for a living. This was back in 2012. So I went through the course, I went through the training, and all this stuff to get that job. Because I didn't want to do content creation forever. I wanted to, you know, basically become like a talent agency with like hundreds of YouTubers under me, so I would make money through them. Plus, I would still do my channel on like a weekly or, you know, maybe bi-daily basis or something like that. Or probably weekly. I'd probably release like a couple videos a week, lore or a Let's Play or something like that. Because most of my job would have been dealing with content creators and helping with support and other things. So the reason why I know what's going on with YouTube and these multi-channel networks is that was going to be my job. So unlike other content creators, I have inside information as well as I know the specifics of what the job is, as well as if somebody could just get access to this guy's dashboard, his CMS in Sweden, we could make sure people would get paid, but you would have to, commit a crime by hacking him to get access to his, computer records. So it could be considered like corporate espionage and stuff like that. But, so I know what his job details are. This, we'll call him Mr. Sweden. And nobody's heard from him in 7 days now. It's been a full week. Because you have to remember that tonight, in 3 hours, it's going to be Sunday morning in Sweden. Stockholm, Sweden will be Sunday morning. Be like Sunday at midnight. So. Yep, staff credits. But that's why I'm so, invested all this is because I'm negatively impacted. I don't know if I would necessarily put my neck out as much and be like this, public, because I'm going to end up like having very few anonymous like things. Like some people are going to print some articles that'll be anonymous, but like I'm actually going to be on podcasts discussing what's happening. So I'm going to end up becoming the face of this, like, I wouldn't say controversy, but like I'm going to get a lot more attention than I want because I just want to get paid. I can't take the hit. And there's a couple other content creators like me that live paycheck to paycheck. So, if I can help some people, I'd like to try to help people, but I'm also in this for myself as well. I have selfish reasons why I'm risking so much, is because, my entire livelihood is attached to it. So it's not like I'm doing it for noble reasons completely, you know what I mean? But if people end up getting helped along the way, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a bonus. And the reason why I'm going as quickly as I can with all of this is because I've already gone through something similar, so I know how the pattern works. I also made a hobby of studying what happens during like a massive like theft. Like when in a corporate setting somebody steals millions of dollars, how do they escape? Like what's the plan? So I know that if this company did steal money, there's a time frame involved for what they tend to do, which is they country hop. They leave their country of origin, which is Sweden, and then they'll go to the next country over, and then in a couple months they'll travel to another thing. So it's still possible to catch these people through surveillance and to find their whereabouts in the next country over to Sweden. It takes about 6 months to completely disappear, 3 to 6 months, because people don't tend to jump from one plane to the next because it's very easy to track. You can track their plane ticket information. You can track them with surveillance, like showing up at airports, all that stuff. But if people are taking their time, and a lot of smart thieves, what they do is they plan their escape, but they migrate, slowly, and they integrate themselves into a different society and stuff like that. Whereas if they just went to their final destination, it's very easy to track them. They don't do that. They also like to divide the money up in other countries. So they'll go to places like Iran, and they'll go to Istanbul, and they'll go to like other like what's known as like Swedish bank accounts, but it's not in Sweden. And they'll distribute the money that way to try to break it up so it doesn't look suspicious. So I've been studying this stuff for like over a decade because I didn't want this to ever happen again. But now that it's happening again, I'm both angry. I'm really angry at YouTube's response last night because it shows that they've learned absolutely nothing. And so I'm gonna make it very hard for these people to escape. I may even disclose their home address on the podcast too. Like I know where they live. I know where their business is. I know the make and model of the car they drive in Sweden. So, on Monday, I'm pulling the trigger. I'm not screwing around. And if they happen to get hurt because of it, oh well. Because I'm sorry, but if it's theft, I'm not going to tiptoe around criminals. Criminals are scum. So that was credits. I guess we'll do some free roam. Alright, so let's look up and see where we can find Daisy's costumes, because I'm sure they have that information. Mario Kart World Peach Medallions. There we go. How to unlock all costumes. Excuse me. We already unlocked all Daisies, didn't we? Daisy is vacation, swimwear. Yeah, Daisy's done. Okay, so we're done with Daisy. So we need to go to Princess Peach. Well, the thing is, what you have to remember, people, is that the only people that you can trust in this world is yourself. That's the most important advice I can give you. Companies are always going to look out for their assets, their company. They don't want any noise to happen. Like last time, too much time had passed for anybody to do anything to hurt YouTube's reputation. This is going to hurt YouTube's reputation. I'm throwing everybody under the bus. I'm throwing my friend who owns like 8 MCNs. YouTube's response, YouTube's emails. I'm going scorched earth. I will be posting the address of the individual who lives in Sweden, who has not triggered payment. The place where they work, the car they drive. What else? I'm trying to think what else I have. I have some emails, but they're not responding to emails, so that doesn't matter. I'm going to try to get a hold of Sweden law enforcement. I don't know how that's going to work, because I don't speak Swedish, so that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to come up with some type of way for them to investigate. Probably have to say, like, missing persons or something. I don't know. I've never done this before, so I'm going to have to research, because I don't want to get in any legal trouble. Especially for, like, this person probably did steal money, and, you know, there's a potential of catching them. Because Sweden has very strict laws on, like, you know, theft. Like, corporate stuff is... They don't even have a white-collar prison in Sweden. You go to regular jail. So they're very... Like, foreign countries are very strict on theft. They are. So... but the reason why I'll be disclosing who the person is because maybe people in Sweden know who that person is and they can go get him or something. I don't know. Or maybe some other YouTubers are going to do some... I'm going to have to do a ton of stuff. Like, I'm going to be the one that basically gets all this stuff moving. I'm hoping somebody will relieve me and, you know, do more, because I don't have that much resources. I only have information. You know, I can't put up a bounty or something on this guy. Like, I don't have that kind of money. But, you know, I'm still in the back of my mind, like, maybe the guy is, like, in need of medical services. But the fact that YouTube, you know, 48 hours ago, they should have contacted the authorities. The fact that they're not going to, it tells me that, you know, they're trying to sweep this under the rug again and cut their losses and be like, all right, we're going to get you to a new company and we're going to do all this other stuff. They're doing the same song and dance that they did in 2014, and it's not acceptable. You know, they haven't changed at all. So now it's my job to do it. We've been taken off the air. Hello? So you'll take me off the air, but you won't actually go after this guy. Huh. Wow. Can anybody still hear me? Because my instrument's saying I'm offline. My YouTube dashboard is locked. I can't see my live streaming equipment on my my playback PC. Can you hear me? It's not doxing if it's a criminal. Okay, so my my dashboard, my access to my YouTube channel is frozen. I can only see you guys through the chat. My dashboard is locked. I can't access the live streaming section. So that means YouTube is listening, but they're not doing anything. So they're attacking me, but they're not going to go after the criminal. That's funny. That's very funny. That's really surprising. Alright, so I'm going to have to open up that thing on my phone then. Well, I mean, yeah, of course. They pretended that a big scam didn't exist in 2014. They told all the partners to just, like, not talk about it. Nothing they could do to get the money back. Actually, that's not true. In 2014, they promised so many partners that they would get at least, like, 1 or 2 months back of their 3 to 4 months of payments. And they lied, and then they said, well, actually, no. We found out that we're not responsible for paying you. That's the MCN's job. So they, you know, they backpedaled. I heard some partners that were over 1 million subscribers did receive some type of compensation for their losses. But any channel under, like, I think it was like 500,000 received nothing. So they took care of, like, some really big partners because they wanted those big partners to stick around. They also didn't do anything to the YouTuber that, you know, unalived themselves. Like, so they really tried hard to sweep it under the rug. I don't even remember any news articles or YouTubers talking about the Fox Little Pharrella thing from 2014, and they're probably going to try to prevent people from talking about Nagato and Torn. Thorn or Torn, I don't remember. It's one of them. Because they work for YouTube. expose them all. I won't be exposing YouTube people that are actually trying to help. But yeah, I'm gonna be dropping names and things like that, as well as like urging, because there might be somebody who works for the Swedish police who's gonna watch one of these podcasts. You know, maybe I can get the ball rolling without even having to contact the authorities and be like, you know, this business located here is involved in a huge corporate scam, and YouTube has not done anything to contact the authorities. So, 300 people are impacted. There's a chance to do something right now while these people are trying to flee the country. So, you know, go get them. Happy hunting. You know, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say. Figure it out. But one thing I can't stand in this world is actual injustice. Actual injustice. Actual crimes. Not crimes of thought. Not policing people's words and opinions. I'm talking about actual criminals. Actual theft. Actual dangerous individuals. Those people are scum. Those people need to be taken out. You know, so I don't care who gets hurt in the process if they're a criminal. I don't pity them at all. Do not care. They cross me, it's over. Because like I said, I'm not going through this again. I'm not going to be a helpless victim and just be like, alright, whatever. I'm doing everything I can. I'm not going through it again. I refuse. I never recovered from it the first time. I'm not going to recover from it the second time. You know, if I get exposure from this, if I start grifting, you know, whatever, I don't care. I'm not a victim anymore. You know, I'm really hoping that this podcast exposure like really blows up our Patreon or whatever, because these people need to go down. That's all there is to it. Alright, so we got Sightseeing Peach, Yukata Peach, Arrow Peach, Avatar... Wait, what? Is there any way to see all the peaches we have? So we have Peach, we have regular Peach, Sightseeing Peach, Farmer Peach, Touring Peach, Avatar Peach, Yukata Peach, Arrow Peach. Who else do we have? I don't have anybody called Vacation Peach. Vacation Peach is located in the Popcorn Cinema. Dash forward a tiny bit, straight to see a drive-through window on the right. Okay. So we need regular Peach in order to get Vacation Peach. Nice little Cadillac, okay. Okay, that's not right. There we go. Let's go there. Vacation Peach. And like I said, my dashboard is frozen right now, so I can't do much. Typical YouTube behavior to try and pretend, yeah, big scam doesn't exist. No, don't super chat. I've already said this. Do not super chat. No one super chat. We will not get those earnings. You're paying the people who have the channel's under a hostage situation right now. It is being held against its will. It has not been released from the MCN. It's still under the Swedish MCN. And all payments are being funneled to another company. We have not been paid. We were supposed to be paid our May earnings on June 16th. It has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. In 2 hours in Stockholm, Sweden, it will be midnight Sunday. That will be 7 days of no payment. And we pay a 3% fee in order to get early access to our account. Like, we take a 3% deduction, you know, from the currency exchange or whatever to get our money. And, you know, we lose about 3% of our income to get it, or 3% of our paycheck, in order to get, you know, our payment by the 16th, because we have bills that come out on the 20th. So my bank account has already gone negative, okay? My 2 bank accounts have already been negative. I have to take out a loan on Friday to try to salvage what's left of my finances. Like, I have to do stuff, and then I have an appointment with the branch that is going to try to approve me a loan of what I need to survive for the next 3 months. Like, this is a very big deal. It's a very real thing. It's very bad. This is going to be Vacation Peach. Okay, that's adorable. But she's just wearing a hat, basically. Okay. Yeah, everything I told you about is all happening. It's real. And the podcast, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. The podcast viewership is 3,000 people. So the first bomb that I drop at 3 o'clock, that podcast regularly has about an average viewership of between 2,000 to 4,000 people live. So I'm going scorched earth on Monday. You know? I'm saying all the companies involved. I will be showing the emails from YouTube about the situation and how they're not going to do anything. This is going to hit the roof. I have no allegiance to anybody. No, I haven't. Keemstar is not going to run with this story. If Keemstar says something later that, you know, he was talking to me, he said that it's not worth his time. So, you won't see Keemstar doing anything with this. The only people who are interested in this story right now are people that are mostly like what are deemed like anti-woke people. Because they're trying to do a pivot. They're trying to not talk about, because the woke stuff is dead. Like that ideology, that movement it's dead. So many people have been fired. There's been 22 companies that had quote-unquote woke leadership or DEI hires. They're all fired. Both the game industry, in terms of the development side, and the journalist side are firing anybody who associates with the ideology of woke. Like, it's done. It's over. The war's won. So this podcast is trying to pivot away from doing those type of stories. This will be like one of its first big things that they actually do that's, quote, that I would call news. Big news. They're still doing things about, like, movies, and, you know, they're making a lot of money talking about the Fantastic Four. I already told you, I have no allegiances to anybody. I will be talking to woke people, anti-woke people, whatever company is willing to listen and to actually be like, we need to take action and we need to get the story out there. Because I already told them 300 people are going to be impacted, millions of dollars in damages of theft, and that YouTube is not doing anything to mobilize and get these people. YouTube knows where these people are. YouTube has the names and addresses, just like I do. They have done nothing. Everybody is waiting until Monday, and they haven't done anything at all. So I'm not waiting anymore, because by Monday, in cases like this where somebody steals, like I've told you, millions of dollars, and they're fleeing, time is of the essence. The longer you wait, the easier it is for them to disappear. They're probably already in another country by now. I would be. But like I said, in most cases that people have disclosed about people who got away with stealing, you know, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Some of them do get caught, but it's a very long process, and they've never really caught anybody that has stolen a vast amount of money after the span of 3 weeks. So we do not have a lot of time. Last time it wasn't reported to the authorities until 3 months, and they were gone. They found a burner phone for the people in 2014 in the Cayman Islands, where they were replying to YouTube partners on a burner phone. But they weren't in the Cayman Islands by the time the authorities got there. So it was too late. But by that point, YouTube waited too long, and it wasn't until that YouTuber unalived himself that they actually started to take action. I want to make sure there's no loss of life from content creators this time around, as well as, you know, we don't see more people go into financial ruin, because a lot of people got ruined. There are new YouTube partners all the time. A lot of the old ones, the reasons why they disappeared is because they were tied to Foxittle and Forella Digital. They went bankrupt. Several YouTubers declared bankruptcy back then. You know, people lost their livelihoods, their jobs, their lives. It was a big deal, and YouTube swept it under the rug. I'm not allowing that to happen again. I refuse to let that happen again. I was a victim of it. I'm still suffering from it. I've had no compensation whatsoever. I've had nothing but bad luck ever since. Disney Infinity was canceled. Arkham was canceled. You know, I lost so much in damages that it put us in a financial bind. I had to leave my nice home in Boston to come all the way out here in the middle of nowhere to Pennsylvania because it's the only place I could afford. I'd use the last of my resources to move from Boston because we were going to be evicted and homeless because we couldn't afford it. You know? So I'm going to wherever I can, to whatever person, you know. If Alex Jones contacted me and said, would you come on the show and talk about this? I would say, yeah. I think Alex Jones is a jerk, but I'd still do it. I'd even go on CNN. I hate CNN. I would do it. I have no allegiance to anybody. No political party. No, like, you know, woke versus anti-woke. I don't care. Whoever posts the story, that's who I'm going to talk to. It doesn't matter. All this nonsense about, you know, people doing tantrums about, you know, censorship in gaming that the woke people do and stuff like that. There's much bigger things at stake than your ideology and who you basically F. No one cares. No one cares who you screw. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is protecting these people. There are 300 people that are going to be impacted. There are going to be 300 people that could be homeless. You know? This is a big deal, and it cannot be swept under the rug. I refuse for that to happen again. You know? So just be careful. And if you're one of my subscribers, do not ever do anything stupid in the street. And in your last moments when you're hit by a car, it's your own fault. Because cars are for getting to your destination, getting your job. You know, it's a right for vehicles to move about freely. You have a right to be on the sidewalk. You have a right to be on a crosswalk and look both ways before you cross the street. You don't have a right to stand in the middle of the road. Because here's the thing. You know that a train isn't liable if you step on a train track? You have no rights if you step on a train track and you're hit by a car or hit by a train. Because guess what? The train can't stop. The train will see you a mile up the road. It can't stop. You'll become a human bowling pin. Or rather, you'll become like Splatoon Inc. It can't stop. The same rule should apply to cars. Because a lot of times when you guys jump on the highway, I'm not saying you guys in general, I'm generalizing like Americans or protesters. Like I'm speaking to protesters right now. But when you jump on a highway, it's very hard for a vehicle to stop. And also, you create a problem for the vehicles behind. Have any of you ever been in a car accident on the highway? I have. I've been in a car accident on a highway. I wasn't the one that started the accident, but I can tell you what happens. The car that gets hit several car lengths in front of you is then plowed into by the car that's behind it. So not only is the driver in the front who was hit first died, but now the car in back of it is injured. The car that is following that car smacks into the next car. And then, like, I was like the 6th car down, and I walked away with just a little fender bender. Like, I lost my headlight and my airbag deployed, but I didn't suffer as much casualties as the people that were like 3-4 cars in front of me. You know, that hit a semi. You can't jump in the road because the cars cannot stop in time. Especially if it's a major highway where people are going like 60, 70 miles an hour. You're going to literally become street pizza. And it's your own fault. Not only that, but you're responsible. Even if you die, you're responsible for the deaths of the drivers. Why were you in the road? So these people, they don't think clearly. So I need you guys to think clearly because you guys are the future of the society. You're the future of this country. Don't do stupid stuff. There's too many generations doing stupid stuff. So promise me you won't do stupid stuff. Because I'm sick of it. I've got a lot going on in my life that I don't need to deal with stupid people on top of stuff. And I know I'm going to have... I even got DDoS during this stream a little bit. I know I'm going to have people mad at me for going on like side scrollers and probably geeks and gamers and whatever. I don't care. Screw those people. You know? These people are willing to give me a platform to talk about a real problem that affects real people and look past political differences and things like that, because I don't agree with them politically on everything. I'm not even going to bring up politics. If they bring up politics when I'm trying to get awareness out, I'm going to take off my lapel mic and, you know, I'm going to disconnect. Because that's not what I'm there for. I'm not there to talk about a Marvel movie. I'm not there to talk about anything other than what's happening. Like, I'm given 15 minutes of airtime to discuss what's going on. I'm not there to banter about woke games or any of that nonsense. I'm there to tell people this is what's going on, this is what people need to prepare for, and this is what you need to do. This is, you need to, you know, remove access to your YouTube channel. If you're with this MCN, you know, I have a mission that I'm supposed to do. I'm basically going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger swatting down like The View and Jimmy Kimmel. That's what my thing is. I'm there to remind people to work together. I'm there to tell people that this is a very real thing that's happening, that if you are a part of this network, you are affected. If you're one of the content creators that works for Nagato or Thorn, you're impacted. There's no, you know, check your PayPal. Did you get paid? If you didn't, you're impacted. So I don't care where I go. Wherever people give me a platform, those are people that I'm going to go talk to. I don't care what they've done in the past. Because I guarantee you, all those woke people on Twitter, they're not going to give me a time of day. They don't care. They don't like me because of my politics. Even if they work... This is how crazy woke people are. Even if they were in the same network as me, they would have a happy dance knowing that I am impacted. That I am suffering. That's how evil these people are. So the fact that other people are willing to listen to what is a real thing, of course I'm going to talk to those people. I don't care. I see a bipartisan America, so, you know, I work together with people that have differences than me. And no, I will never run for office because I'll have a heart attack. I can't deal with any politicians. The only way I would run for office is if I'm guaranteed to become a millionaire like everybody that runs for office. And even then, like, I'm only doing 4 years and then I'm bowing out. Like, once I make my money, I'm gone. I'll do, like, book tours or something like that. My 4 years in politics, what it was really like. Because everybody does insider trading and all this other stuff. Every single politician who is in our country right now is over a millionaire. And when they started, they weren't millionaires. They are now. How did they get that way? Insider trading. See, these are the things that people should be doing news stories on because that's kind of a big deal, isn't it? Like, people went from rags to riches by being in politics. The people who work for us, the people, are not supposed to become wealthy themselves because once they become wealthy, they lose sight of what the little guy is trying to tell them. Because they don't care about the little guy. They just care about doing whatever they can to get reelected so they get more power. And of course they're going to lie to people. So, you know, if I got in, I would just want to get the money and get out, personally. Because if it's possible to do that, I mean, that's the easiest way to become a millionaire in this country is run for office. But, you know, I don't want to give up my soul, and also it's not worth a heart attack. I almost have a heart attack working on YouTube because there's a lot of stress involved. You know, you guys are very lucky for people who don't work on YouTube because you don't have to worry about, you know, a company stealing thousands of dollars from you. When you go to a job, the human resources people pay you. When you work on YouTube, you have an organization that you've never met that is responsible for your paycheck. Do you know how scary that is? And in 12 or 13 years, there's no change. YouTube is using the same policies and methods that they used when this fiasco happened in 2014. There's been no change. Do you know how frustrating that is? If anything, I would like to work in like a leadership position at YouTube because I would ratify everything. I would fix YouTube so quick. They're still using the same old policies, and they still have the nonchalant attitude that it doesn't impact us because the people who are financially liable are the company that didn't pay you. And it's like, well, that's great. They're probably on the run, and you didn't even mobilize the police in that country. You're idiots. That's what I hate. It shouldn't be my job. You know who should be going on podcasts and telling people, hey, there's a potential scam that's happening where a lot of you aren't going to get paid, and we're doing everything we can. You want to know who should be doing that? The leaders at YouTube. Leaders at YouTube should be going on Side Scrollers and Tim Pool and Keemstar and all this other stuff. They should be telling people this kind of stuff. They should today make a YouTube blog post on their blog site saying, this network is compromised. We're doing everything we can to help the people impacted. Are they doing that? No. Do they care? No. So it's my job. Why is it my job? Because I care too much. That's why it's my job. Because no one else will do it. Because everybody always cares about me, I. So the only real leader is me. The only one who has the stones to do anything is me. No one else is going to do anything. That's what leadership is. But that's what this company should be doing. You know, because this is the same thing that happened. I'm really tempted, honestly, to call the Better Business Bureau on YouTube. Like, I'm really contemplating getting the FTC involved, the Federal Trade Commission. Because, I mean, they really need to go over YouTube's books because they're doing a lot of illegal stuff. You know, and they're just, I guarantee you if this happens in 10 years to somebody else, it's going to be the same soulless reply that I got again. And I actually have the email from 2014 from YouTube. Even though my YouTube data was erased, I still have all my communication with YouTube in 2014 when we were hacked. Or not when we were hacked, when our money was stolen. And if you look at the two emails from 2014 and the one I received last night, their response is identical. Okay? So it doesn't matter what podcast I go to or what, you know, trade publication I talk to, whether it's pro-Democrat or pro-Republican or whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is getting the word out, because awareness is the most important thing. The people that hate me, that have 100,000 people on Twitter that, you know, basically celebrate my son's death every year, those people have a responsibility to try to help the 300 people impacted. They won't do it because they're going to celebrate that I could lose my job. That's what they care about. They don't like me because I'm anti-woke. That's why they don't like me. They call me racist. They call me all kinds of buzzwords. But at the end of the day, they don't care about, like, real people. They only care about people in their tribe. That's what makes me different, is I'm actually willing to, you know, go across the divide. And I wouldn't say go into enemy territory, but go into a rival sports team's camp and, you know, put myself out there and be like, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is who's impacted. This is when it's happening. You know, you need to contact YouTube right away if you work for so-and-so. You know, we got to come up with a plan because time is of the essence. I'm mad that there's not a podcast I can go on this weekend because every second counts. and the fact I can't get on until Monday, and the fact that YouTube isn't going to do anything. Here's the thing I'm mad about. I'm going to pull over, okay? I told YouTube. Okay, I'm pulling over. It's getting real. I told YouTube that this company potentially is making off with millions of dollars. Right? I told them Thursday night. I told them Thursday night at 11 o'clock. I have the email. But, you know, manners are not regulated to skin color. Being polite or kind to people is not regulated to your appearance. Anybody can have manners. Anyone can look up things and become smart. Knowledge is not restricted to anybody. Anybody can become knowledgeable. They just choose to be lazy. So, you know, that's the gist of it. I don't like lazy people because I'm a hard worker. That's what a New Yorker is. So I don't get along with people that are lazy. I don't relate to it. I like people that apply themselves and people that work hard. Those are the kinds of people I like. Those are the kinds of people I respect. I respect people based on their actions. You know? But, you know, I'm a really easy target because I don't have a big network of YouTubers defending me. So, like, the one thing that a lot of these, like, drama channels have that I don't is they have a network of people that's there for them. So, like, I've been smeared campaigned for, like, a decade, and I have no support. And I have a lot of YouTuber friends, but they've never rushed to my aid. I've had, like, maybe one or two small creators say, Kwings not like that. But, like, some of the big partners I know that have millions of subscribers, they don't say anything because they fear backlash. They're like, well, you're dealing with this. It'll go away in a couple months. You might lose some stuff. And it's like, I would collab with you, but we're going to have to push that collab back because, you know, so-and-so said something about you on Twitter. And, you know, we'll work again someday because, you know, it'll die down. And it's like, but every year people start up stuff. Usually the month our son died. They start up drama about us on our anniversary, at Christmas time, Easter. It's always those times of year, and that's when we always try, or we're promised to do collabs with big YouTubers. And then those YouTubers always bow out. And it's been like that for years. Ever since we got shadow banned, that's what it's been like. Very few content creators are willing to work with us because they see us as a controversial channel, even though the controversy that stems from us is not our fault. It's from weirdos. So, you know, I can't stop people from being crazy. Not my fault. But, you know. And I guarantee you, like, I'm going to be the only one that even does anything about, you know, this company that potentially has allegedly stole millions of dollars. Like, I'm the only one who's come forward. And here's the thing. Let me tell you something. Did you know that the network and YouTube have already notified at least 50 people? 50 content creators ranging from 500 to 1 million subscribers have been notified that they will not be paid. Has anybody gone on Twitter talking about Nagato or Thorn? Any content creator talking about how they're upset they're not getting paid? I haven't seen one person. And I've been told in confidence that at least 50 content creators are aware of the situation. And they've unlinked their channels from Nagato. So, there are people that are aware of this. I'm the only one speaking out. That tells you something right there. There are people that actually... everybody got the same email on the same date. We all got the same email from YouTube on... where is it? Where's that automated message? We got the message from YouTube on June 20th. At yesterday, June 20th. What time is that? How do I read that? Okay, there we go. Everybody got the same email. June 20th, 2025, 4:51 p.m. Everybody got the same email. Do you see anybody on Twitter or YouTube talking about this? Anywhere at all? Go to Twitter, go to Blue Sky, and type Nagato and see if anything pops up. I guarantee you there's nothing. Except me. I guarantee you. And there are people who are much bigger YouTuber channels that could do a lot more than I can. I'm a shadow banned channel. I don't have that much, you know, pull. I have contacts and people I've known for 20 years because I've worked all over the industry as a game journalist, and I've worked with all the big networks, Machinima, Maker Studios, TGN, Broadband, Screenwave, all these people. So I have a list of contacts up the wazoo and people that I can, you know, reach out to. Out of all the people that I've probably emailed 50 people. Do you know how many people I've heard back from out of the 50 people I've contacted? This just shows you the reality of the situation and how, like, little power I have. I contacted 50 people right away about what was going on. It took me several hours to do, like, a mass email warning people and telling, hey, this company in Sweden's doing this, blah, 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 blah. I even contacted some of the partners that are in the same network as me to give them heads up, who have, like, much more subscribers than I do. And they all, like, they didn't respond. The only people who responded are the ones that were willing to put me on their podcast or to write an article, like, you know, for publication. And even those are pending. So, some of the more liberal publications are pending whether or not, like, I'm a controversial figure. If they're going to either run the story anonymously or they're actually going to, you know, say the things I said because they're concerned about my common sense approach of things. And I'm just thinking, wow, screw these guys. So when push comes to shove, it's all about politics with people. That's the sad thing. Is, like, the world could literally be on fire and we could be on nuclear war and Republicans and Democrats are going to be strangling each other in the streets as the nukes are coming down. That's our reality. Like, people won't be trying to get the shelter together. They'll be fighting over which political party survives. And newsflash, no one's going to survive a nuclear attack. But still, it just shows you where people's minds are, and it's terrifying. It's like watching... Have you guys ever seen the Discovery Channel where lions are, like, clawing each other to death? That's what it kind of reminds me of, like, watching Republicans and Democrats. It's like they're two, like, lions, like, tearing each other apart all the time. Every time they come into contact, they just fight. And it wasn't like that growing up. So it's sad to see that today. But, you know, nothing I can do. I'm not a political figure. I'm a gamer. There's nothing I can do. The only thing that I can really do right now is what I'm doing with this whole situation. That's all I can do. I contacted people. I heard back from a few people. I heard back from one drama channel, and I'll tell you what the drama channel told me, just to show you where their mind is. They're like, the first question they asked me, like in a Twitter DM, they're like, all right, so which woke company is coming after you? Is this another, are you being swatted again? I said, no, this has nothing to do with woke. And they're like, oh. They said, well, what's going on? I said, well, there's a potential scam where 300 people are going to be out, like, thousands and thousands of dollars. They're not going to get paid, and there's a company holding hostage all these channels, allegedly. Or the person who owns this network had a heart attack and died. You know, we don't have the information, but I'm just trying to get word out and get articles and things like that. And the guy asked me again. He's like, so this has nothing to do with woke. And I said, no, this is not a DEI-related thing. This is real news. I was sarcastic, and I said, you know, something you're not accustomed to. Probably shouldn't have said that. But then the guy's response was, he was like, yeah, he says, this won't work with my audience. He says, I'm not talking about it. It could be I was a little sarcastic with him, and maybe that's why, but I think he made his decision when I told him it wasn't, you know, it wasn't woke-related. So, I mean, that shows you where a lot of their drama channels, like, really are. They don't really care about real gaming news. They don't care about YouTube. They only care about stuff that's going to get them a lot of money, a lot of clicks. You know, it's a business for them, and, you know, I respect the grind and stuff like that, but in times of, like, problems, I mean, that guy could have been associated with that network. And, you know, if that network impacted him, maybe he would do something, but it just shows you where the mindset of these people are. It's very depressing, you know? It's like you don't realize how alone you are in the world when something actually bad happens. Like, so it's up to me to do anything, and I hate that. I really do. So, I mean, I'm happy that at least a few people, you know, out of the 50 people I contacted, I've heard back from 15. And out of the 15, I've, you know, been guaranteed like 4 or 5 things over the span of like between now and June 30th. There's one person that's waiting for things to get really bad after June because they might make a whole documentary on it. And I'm just like, because he's like, so most YouTubers aren't going to be paid until June 30th. It's only a handful of you guys that did the early access to payment. And he says, which is very interesting. I said, yeah, well, I mean, of course, we have bills coming out, and my wife and I are dependent on being paid the same time. Just like I said, look, if you worked at a grocery store or you worked at a car dealership pays like 2 times a month or whatever. But they pay on time, and the people can plan their finances and their bills and grocery shopping and stuff around when they get paid, right? So I said, imagine now you've got, right now, 50 people that normally get their paycheck early by paying a fee of like 3% to have it converted from Swedish dollars or whatever into American. And now they're not getting their paycheck. And I said, in my case, my bank account is negative because my digital account that's waiting for these funds is still 0. So not only is my digital account where my newsletter is paid and some other stuff is, you know, basically negative. I think it's a negative $300. You know, I'm seriously impacted too. And I've already done everything I could. I reached out to YouTube. I reached out to the guy who owns these networks. I did all that stuff. And I said, I'm still waiting, being told to wait till Monday to do anything. I had a person, you know, basically tell me, hey, you know, we got something that we're going to do Monday morning. So, you know, don't do the podcast stuff yet. Don't release these articles. Don't release your video, you know. And unfortunately, there are people who are in charge of the kill switch of my channel that can erase my channel at any time. So I can't do stuff until Monday myself, really. I can't release my video because my channel will get erased. Like, YouTube will erase my channel. They'll make me disappear, like, from YouTube. They can't make me disappear from Twitter, but I don't have a big audience on Twitter. So I'm already being, like, advised not to do something until, you know, Monday, because they promised me they're going to have something done by Monday that I won't have to go on podcast. Because I told them, I said, hey, I've been talking to this publication. I've been talking to podcasts because you guys say you're not doing anything. So I'm getting the word out about this, so like maybe something can actually be done, because last time 2-3 months went by and these people who, you know, caused like all this like financial damage got away. And I said, we have, you know, a very unique opportunity with the time that we're given to, if this is a runner situation, we can get this guy. Or at least, you know, we can get back some of the money if he hasn't spent it all or whatever, you know. And I was telling them, you know, time is important. And I even went over, I said, because, you know, I come from a police background. My family's in law enforcement. I have family who are detectives and beat cops and sergeants and patrolmen and all this other stuff. So, like, I know a lot of stuff that most civilians shouldn't know. So when it comes to cases like these, time is very, 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 very important. Right? So they're basically telling me, we understand that, but, you know, we can't do anything until Monday. And they told me this on Friday. So I had to get, because I was going to go and do stuff on the weekend with, like, getting news articles posted. Like, there was one company I was talking to that they were ready to release something like 11:50 on Friday night, like a small trade. And I had to tell the guy, we can't post it yet because, you know, YouTube is threatening litigation or whatever. Or they could. They're basically saying to me, don't do this or else. So I said, you know, publications probably could be in trouble. I don't know. So the dude was like, oh, yeah, crap, I'm not doing that until, like, he says, what day are you doing that podcast? I said, probably, as far as I know, it's Monday. And the guy said, okay. So then we'll roll out stuff on Monday. And I'm like, okay. But, you know, the fact that everybody is waiting, it's upsetting. But I can't afford to have my channel terminated. But what I'm upset about is all these other channels are aware of the situation, and they're not doing anything. You know, they're just kind of like, you know, some of them can afford the hit, but others that can't afford the hit, they're not doing anything. Like, usually people go to Twitter and they say stuff. Nobody's saying anything, except for me. So I've got like this giant bullseye on my back, but, you know, the problem is if one voice doesn't speak out, no voices will. Like, it always takes one brave person to stand up. Otherwise, you know, nothing will ever be done. That's my philosophy, you know? If everybody's silent, nothing's going to happen. And, you know, in the back of my mind, I know potentially that it might already be too late, you know? I'm trying to not have that mindset, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know, it might already be over anyway. Like, what is the point of this? But at the same time, I just can't let this type of crime just go, you know, just let it happen without any pushback at all, or you know, it makes me toss and turn at night. Like, it's not that it's just not fair, it's not right. And I just can't, when there's actual, my soul can't rest until something is done. Until I know something is being done, I can't stop. Like, I just have like this gnawing at my conscience that I'm just kind of like, gotta do something. You have the ability to do something, you know things, you gotta do it. So I reached out to as many people as I could. I heard back from a handful of people, which I was hoping more, but maybe more people on Monday will take interest when I start doing the podcast stuff. I don't know. I'm getting a call. Hang on. Okay, guys, I'm going to be busy on the phone. I'm speaking to a trade right now. They're asking for details, and I can't give them the spiel in, like, 5 minutes or less. So I'm going to get the next stream started. This is a good thing, though. So we got more people that are listening. This is what we want. We want more people, more exposure, more, what do you call it? More awareness about what's happening. Because, you know, I mean, in the back of my heart, I know that we'll probably never get the money back. But even if we can get these people arrested or, you know, put pressure on YouTube to create, like, new policies. Because this is the same thing that is happening again from 2014. But I got to jump off this. This lady called me from this trade, so I got to go. And I'm going to give them the spiel and, you know, all that stuff. So I'm going to get the Zelda stream started, and I'll see you guys in a bit, okay? And thank you, Uncle Howdy, for being a patron. Really appreciate that, but I got to jump.